have a review planned sooner, a comparison video between the Gerber Truss and the Gerber Suspension NXT. But I just got these in, did some shopping recently, and I bought a truss with a missing wood saw. So in order to give this a fair assessment, a fair shake, I thought we'd better repair this before we do our review. So I've got a wood saw here. If you need parts, you know where to go. MultiPartsStore.com. That's my website. Looks like, yeah, we've got the saw good to go. That's from a truss. So this should be, I'm going to say that this should be simple, and I'm sure it will not be. Let's find out. I don't remember what size bit this is going to take. A 10 almost fits, but I think it's a T9. Yeah, T9 seats a lot better. So I'll get this clamped up. And I'm only going to remove this pivot for now. I could kind of tweak it all, but I don't think it's really necessary. It came in pretty decent shape. There might be another pivot that's a little tight, and if we need to, we can loosen that. But as usual, we're going to have our T9 bits and our ratcheting screwdriver, and then I've got my little custom tool here I use on the other side. And I thought this would be a pretty easy repair. It'd be something I can show. It might be an interesting, if you like watching the repairs, let me know, because it might be something I can do more of in the future. Now that came apart very easy. A lot of times these need some heat. You could use a heat gun or a lighter on the screw. I use a soldering iron, and I can apply heat directly to the screw without getting heat anywhere else. That's what I like, just because I sell the parts afterwards. Now, to do this, we need to get in. Yeah, so I'm going to take a brass punch that's the right diameter, and I'm going to run that all the way through. You can see it coming out this side. Now I've got the pivot released. And what I'm going to do, because I need to get to the saw all the way on this side, is I'm going to take another pin that's the same size, or a punch, and I'm going to follow that through. If you ever watch the lock-picking lawyer, he always has this follower tube that he runs in, and this is kind of that concept. Of course, I screwed it up because there it is. Okay. So now I've got, let me pull this out, you can see it a little bit better. I've got everything still held together. Just got a punch running through that pivot, and I'm going to get this clamped right back up. Hopefully you can see that. Need to get a zoom lens on the camera here. And I don't want to, part of the reason I bought this is to keep it as a reference model. So I want to make sure everything gets put back in place. So I'm going to just pull this. I can't tell if there's any washers in here to the camera left of this saw. I'm just going to gently remove the pin until I free up that saw, and watch for anything else that falls out. I can see there's a nice chunky, actually it might be 2 spacers to the right. So those I can confidently put back. But I'm just going to carefully, because maybe I shouldn't pinch on the saw blade, and I did see something slide down. So let's lock that in place, or hold that in place. And there it is. So I just lost 1 washer. Now my guess is that was up against the frame. Yeah, that had to be. I'm going to hold this and check the other side and see if there's a washer next to the frame. There is not. Excuse me one second. I'm going to pull this out of camera just so I can see it a little better, and you guys don't have to look down on top of my head. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'm just separating each layer here to try and see where that washer came from. This is one of the tricky things about manipulating a tool that you want to be your reference model, but also it's kind of inevitable, because I would never have known that washer was even in there. We are going to put that in. Here's another thing we can do. We can look at the tool itself, and I can tell you right now where it came from. Let me grab it with the tweezers. I'll show you. So right up on this side of the tool, you can see the ring that washer left. So it is on camera left and does go in between the saw and the frame. Great to know. Okay, so let's slide this back in. The first thing I'm going to do is just get everything moved over and get this in kind of place. And then I'm going to press down on the saw against the pin. And as I slide that out, it should drop into place right at that moment. Yep, so it just dropped in. And now I'm pressing back with the pivot, or with the pin. We're going to do the same thing with that washer. If you guys watched my, I think it was on the split ring video I put out a couple weeks ago. I talked about these tweezers I also got at, of all places, a beading shop that was going out of business. So perfect, absolutely super fine tips, perfect for grabbing these washers. So I'm going to back that pin off just until I got a little room, and it's being crushed by the, the tension of the frame is actually squeezing it in place. So I'm going to hold on to that with the tweezers, and I'm going to use my spudger here to kind of wedge open the frame and also to push that washer down. Now, okay, this is precarious. I'm going to just hold this whole thing up so you guys can see. I would never do this if I wanted to be efficient, but you can see I've just got that washer peeking through a little bit. I've got, so I need to get everything aligned. That's where the tip of these spudgers can be very handy. These are from iFixit, and they're nice soft material. So I'm going to just go in, and I know it's hard to see this, and I apologize, but I'm going to go in and fish through that hole until I can start to get everything aligned. And I just dropped, that pin just dropped into place. So I'm going to use it to manipulate everything back into alignment. And now you can see that pin is all the way through. Let's go ahead and close this saw just so it's not in anyone's way. And if we want to restore it perfectly back to normal, which I do in this case, normally I would just run the pivot through. But because this is going to be a reference model, I want it to be standard. I'm going to follow that punch back through with the original, and then I can follow the, so the pivot comes from the right. And we will just, you might need a little wiggle because this pivot is perfectly sized and the punch is just a little undersized. So I'm pushing these two together, a little bit more force from my right than my left. It does not want to go in. Let's see, there's a few other things, a few tricks we can try. Everything's still on in frame. So I'm going to use, I've got it on a screwdriver now, so I can give it a good spin as I go through. And let's see if that works. We can kind of rotate both pieces. Come on now. This can be quite tricky. It's usually not this tricky. Let's see what we can do here. And you need to be able to see all the way through. I'm going to just roll this punch around the outside just to try and get everything aligned. That's the trick here. If we can get it aligned, we can get it together. There it is. Just wiggle it. Trust the process. Now, you want to be careful when you remove this punch because there's that washer there. You want to make sure you capture that. A lot of times you'll pull the punch out, the washer will drop down, and you'll screw the tool back together without that washer. So I'm just going to, as soon as I get that other mating screw in place, we should be good. I'm just going to back that out till it's aligned. Now I can feel it's threading properly. There's a bit of Loctite left over. You could add some here if you'd like. I will not, because this is something we'll probably reference. So I'm just going to snug this up. Make sure we don't cross thread nothing. It feels okay. It's a little stiff. And I can skip it out over here on the left side, but good enough. There we go. And let's see. Okay, that lock is sticking. Did we over tighten it? Maybe we over tightened it. Let's back it off. Don't fear. Just gonna give this about a quarter turn back. See what happens. And like I said, this is a used tool, so you know it is gonna. Oh, it's sticking. Let's see. Loosen that up a bit. Let's try it again. There it goes. Now it's locking up just fine, except when closed. Interesting. See if it's could be an issue with a spacer. Could be something I don't really need to worry about. It locks up fine when the tool's open, and it locks up fine when they close. Except maybe that saw. Let's try it again. Okay. Wonder if I just heard that washer go. Heard something. Oh, okay. It seems to be working. What I would do now is just spray everything down with WD-40, work all the tools in. But that is a repair to the Gerber Truss. There's our old saw blade. Here is our new one. Good as new. Works perfectly. Obviously, that's the benefit of using OEM replacement parts like what we offer at MultiPartsStore.com. We take them off of tools. So we buy the truss, we disassemble it, all new. We don't use used. This is just for reference. And so you can swap them in any tool, anytime. And if you want to make sure to stay tuned, hit subscribe, whatever, because we're going to do a comparison here with the Gerber Suspension NXT and the Gerber Truss. We might also talk a little bit about the Gerber Suspension, which is, I think, an older version. So we're going to get into that in a future video. Thanks for watching, guys. Is there any repairs you want to see? I might, if you could, let me know in the comments below. We'll see what we can do, because there's some testing and stuff that I think would be good for me to learn as we go. Cool. All right. Catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.